Hi folks, my party's not imploding, but I still hope to make the news anyhow. Perhaps for the work that Nicole McKee has done updating an outdated act so that people can be safe from gun harm, but also the government should be treating legitimate firearm users with respect. It's a 6-year project since we took a stand on this issue. We're very proud of what she's unveiled today.
Not happy though with the you invoked the agree to disagree on the competitive shooters carve-out.
Yeah, there's a bunch of New Zealanders there who actually are very responsible people. They're effectively being penalised for the actions of a foreign terrorist. I think that's a shame. But, you know, politics is the art of the possible. You shouldn't make the perfect the enemy of the good. And I wouldn't try and allow that to overshadow an enormous achievement of rewriting a very complex piece of law that was totally outdated. She's updated and modernised the Arms Act to make sure that the public is safe while treating legitimate firearm users with respect. That's a hard balance she's found, and I think she's done very well at it.
She's put a huge amount of work into it too, right? Overhauling a really old piece of legislation. Could you just speak to that?
Yeah, look, people lose trust in politicians all around the world. What Nicole McKee's done with the Arms Act shows a political party can take a stand, initially unpopular, do the hard graft and deliver better policy that will keep all of us safer and allow those who legitimately use firearms to use them and be treated with a bit of respect. I think that's a positive.
On the art of the possible, is it a waste of time for Erin Stanford to investigate a under 16 social media ban while you still have an inquiry going on?
Well, this is a really urgent problem for a lot of New Zealand parents, and I believe that we need to tackle it, but a simplistic knee-jerk response ain't going to work. We're much smarter to do the Select Committee inquiry, have Erica Stanford as the Minister very diligent. You look at the way that she studied curriculum and assessment and pedagogy before she got this job. She's out there studying, and we have the ability to observe what happened in Australia on December 10 and the UK in real time. I think that New Zealand will get to a much better solution, but I suspect it will involve better use of technology, enabling parents to control their children's digital experience rather than trying to just wall off the internet from 15-year-olds.
Are you comfortable as an Associate Education Minister and as part of the Cabinet that there is government resource going into a ban right now? Luxon's very clear that it's a ban.
Well, bear in mind that I don't have responsibility as Associate Education. That's for other specific things. However, as a member of the government and one of the 3 leaders, there are people doing all sorts of investigations and inquiries into things where what they might discover is what they initially thought can't work. We don't want to put a ban on people, seeking more information. That would be a very ignorant government if we did that.
The Education Amendment third reading today, EWG's put out a petition against taking the treaty obligations out. Do you think the government and ministers should be listening to iwi chairs?
I think they need to listen back. We are not taking anything away from anybody. People can choose how they run their schools reflecting all the cultural diversity of New Zealand, but they have to respect other people's choices that they may not wish for their children's education to be like an eternal marae visit. They might want to live their way. In return, they get to live their way. That's what the iwi chairs need to listen to.
Do you think the iwi chairs are relevant? What's your relationship like with them? Do you have discussions with them?
Well, I used to have a very warm relationship with them. In recent years, I've actually found that they've changed, but I would welcome having a warm relationship with them just as I did, with the first time I did charter schools. Very positive. I've tried to interact with them in the last few years. They haven't been warm, they haven't been constructive. I think that's a real shame, but my door's still open.
What do you make of Winston Peters' comments regarding asset sales?
Well, he's had those views consistently, and you have to respect him for that. But at the same time, New Zealand's needs are changing. At the moment, the government owns a whole lot of farms and doesn't run them that well, frankly. I would back Kiwi farmers to run farms over Kiwi politicians running farms. And if you've ever seen us get out on farms, other than people like Andrew Hoggard and Mark Cameron, you can see why.
Do you think it's a bit of a slight when he said, that National and Labour have failed to run the economy properly?
Well, it's just Winston being Winston. I mean, it's entertaining, but he's also part of a government that is doing a lot of hard work to fix what Labor left us, and that green shoot movement is starting to show through in a whole lot of indicators. And I think people know deep down that it was never going to be easy to get out of the problems that we faced. Winston Peters himself was saying just a few months ago that we weren't going to be able to fix it straight away. Now he's saying we haven't fixed it fast enough. So it's Winston, but bear in mind he's still part of the government that's doing the work.
How urgent do you think the need is to sell assets for New Zealand?
Sorry, can you say that again?
How urgent do you think the need is to sell assets?
Well, the future is now, and we need roads, we need schools, we need hospitals. Some people might say, is it worth owning a whole lot of businesses? A lot of people probably don't know that we own. We own QV, Quotable Value, that does property valuations. They've got contracts out to the government of New South Wales. Is that something the taxpayer should be investing in, or would we rather have some better roads?
When Key launched the mixed ownership model, National were polling at 50%, 50.5%, and you guys are polling reasonably as well. So the centre right was broadly controlling the majority of the electorate. You're nowhere near that now. Do you think you have the kind of ability to be able to push forwards more asset sales?
Well, see, you're a political journalist, but in my view, this is about making New Zealand sustainable and actually choosing a brighter future for all of us. Now, we can keep sentimentally holding things that don't make a return, that don't have a public purpose, or we can ask, $570 billion balance sheet, how do we make this place work for the next generation? That's the question I want to ask.
The assets you're talking about, the Landcorp and the QV, they're not really, really large assets on the asset block. Are they things that can materially change the government's finances? Would you really need to go to some of the perhaps more family silver-like assets to get?
Well, see, again, I mean, you're so 1980s, Henry. Family silver. I mean, are these businesses actually fulfilling a public purpose? Are they making a return that's making New Zealand rich? They're not. So we got to get out of an emotional discussion, start having an honest conversation about what is best for the next generation. Is it to own shares in an electricity company, which, by the way, is doing very nicely, making profits out of people's power bills, or is it better to get out of that business and start actually selling some roads?
Would you need to go?
Making some roads, building some roads. Sorry, I was going to say we're not going to sell any roads.
Would you need to
That's
go to
the next election.
Those power companies are worth a lot of money, but would you need to go to them to really have a material impact on the budget? You wouldn't have much of a material impact on the budget selling QV, would you?
Well, I mean, it's true, but on the other hand, you get the Wellington disease where you say, well, look, it might only be $20 million. Yeah, only $20 million. Well, actually, most people, $20 million is a lot of money, and if you start. Beg your pardon?
But not to the associate finance minister. It's not that much money for the government.
It's absolutely a lot of money. The way I approach budgeting is that $1 million, $500,000 is a lot of money, because if we can save that, then that's another $500,000 we don't have to find from taxpayers or pay interest on the debt. So actually, you got to start with the mentality that money is money. It's New Zealanders' money, and we don't say, oh, it's only 20 million.
Would you be satisfied, given the political, cost of asset sales? Would you be satisfied doing them and only getting something like 20 million?
Well, there's only a political cost if we're having an emotional conversation. We actually need to have an honest conversation. What is the best for the future of our children? The sentimentality around terms like family silver, when in reality we're making a loss half the time. They're not actually doing something that only the government should do. So why are we taking that risk with taxpayers' money? Why are we paying interest on debt in order to own these companies when, if they go broke, we've still got debt, still got interest, and no company? I don't think we should take that risk. Yeah,
David, the Auckland Council have begun the consultation on the intensification plan changes. You're an Auckland MP. What are the villa owners in Epsom saying to you about this?
Did you say vanilla owners?
Villa.
Oh, I was going to say that. Jesus Christ. Look, in terms of people in the Epsom electorate are very concerned about the environment. They're very concerned about sewage leaking into the sea. They're very concerned about infrastructure that's crumbling. Near where I live, we had no swim signs at the beach just this weekend. If we put a whole lot of intensification and 50-metre towers on top of crumbling pipes, then frankly we're going to get more sewage in the sea. So we need to push back hard guard against poorly thought out intensification while intensifying the corridors, the train stations and the villages where it actually does make sense.
What's Chris Bishop's response been to you when you've said that to him?
Look, Chris and I are very tight. We have an ongoing conversation, but and that continues.
School lunches, the new program on the primary school side looks quite a bit different from the version we've seen at the start of the year. Can you talk through those changes a little bit?
Well, it's only different in the sense that there are more providers rather than one nationwide. In part, it's because primary schools, they tend to be they're smaller, they're more spread out, there's more of them, so you can understand that. As a result, we're paying a bit more, we've got more providers, more localised, but the underlying model is exactly the same.
There's more flexibility around the price point as well, though.
Yeah, there is, and again, that reflects different locations, smaller schools, more locations to serve, more remote locations, all of that stuff.
Do you think that this newer model or different model would work also for the secondary schools, or you think the secondary schools are going to?
Well, it could do, but last time we went out for tender, Compass won it, and notwithstanding some difficulties they had in term one, which technically weren't their fault, they won the contract. Cool, thank you very much.